Rico. Welcome, everyone. I'm Bridget Flaherty. I'm the Director of Global Engagement at the Chicago School. So, among other things, I help to manage our study abroad programs, including this one that will be traveling to Italy this summer. And I'm joined by Dr. Rico and Dr. Williams, who are the two faculty for this program as well. And so, what we're going to do first is I'm going to go over some of the basics of study abroad. For those of you who have not done one of our programs before, I'll be going over how you apply for the course, financial aid, some other, financial pieces that you need to know. And then I will hand it over to Dr. Rico and Dr. Williams so that they can tell you more about this course specifically. And I am recording this. We'll share the video with everyone afterwards, as well as the slides, so you can reference these as well as reach out to us with any questions. So, a couple of things that I want to share before we talk about some of the other specifics of study abroad is some research that's been done about the benefits of going on a study abroad program like this. So, this first slide shows you some research that was done by the Institute on International Education. And what they looked at is what types of skills students gain by studying abroad, as well as what employers are looking for in their employees. So, when they're hiring, when they're promoting, and they found that there's a lot of overlap between those two areas, that employers really find the skills that you gain by studying abroad to be beneficial and important for what they are looking for. So you can see that this is split up into different areas. There's intrapersonal skills that you would gain, things like tolerance for ambiguity, adaptability, self-awareness. There are the cognitive skills, things like problem solving, curiosity, and then also interpersonal skills like leadership, teamwork, communication. So all of these are things that you can gain as skills by going on a study abroad program. And then there's been a more recent survey that was done by the Forum on Education Abroad, and this is related to the starting salaries of students who have studied abroad, and showing that those who study abroad have started out with much higher earning potential and higher salaries than those who did not. This specific research was actually done for students who earn business degrees, undergraduate business degrees, but they have found this in other studies and research as well, that across the board, students who study abroad in different types of educational programs and academic programs, that they also have higher starting salaries. So just some different benefits that they found for study abroad. And what we have found more qualitatively with our students is that we hear again and again how life-changing some of our programs have been for students, how they have come back with a new interest, sometimes a different way that what they want to focus their thesis or dissertation on, different things that they want to do in their career because of the experience that they've had by going abroad. So now I'm going to go a bit more over the things that are specific to studying abroad at the Chicago School. So I'll go through each of these areas first, starting with the fact that all of our programs are developed by our faculty in their field, in their area of expertise, and they are developed for graduate students with an academic focus. So this is a course that's specifically for graduate students. And we have service learning as part of all of our study abroad programs. We think that's really an essential part of studying abroad and really getting to connect with the local culture and give back and learn. And then all of our study abroad courses are for 3 credits unless otherwise stated. And this one is a 3 credit course that you can earn towards your degree program. And I'll talk about more about that in a little bit. All of our programs were developed with our student population in mind. So, because most of you are studying full-time, working full-time or part-time, you have other family obligations, other ways that you're involved in your local community. So, it's really difficult to leave all of that for an entire term or an entire semester, the way that a lot of undergraduate programs are set up. And so instead, you will be studying online during the term. For this one, it's the summer one term, and then you would be traveling. So all of our programs are built that way, where you're typically traveling for about a week and a half. And so it's a lot easier to take that time away, ask your supervisor if you need, a week and a half off of work versus leaving for 2 months at a time. And then we do also have financial aid available for our study abroad courses. The most important piece of this is to make sure that it is going to count towards your degree requirements. So this is a lot easier if you are in for the business psychology program that this course is offered within. That's a lot easier to determine how that will meet your course requirements. But if you are in another academic program, it's possible to get a course substitution. Often our study abroad courses will meet an elective requirement you might have. You might have a diversity requirement. So this is something you would need to speak with your department chair about. But if any of you are in the international psychology program, that's the only one that does not accept course substitution for study abroad. And that's because they have required field experiences, and you can't substitute the study abroad for those field experiences. But for any other department, you would want to work with your department chair to figure out how it could meet your degree requirements. And I do recommend having that conversation early on so you know while you're applying if it's something that will meet those requirements. Otherwise, you have to meet the standard financial aid rules to apply for aid for study abroad, and it will count towards the total loan limit that you have. If any of you do receive VA benefits, you would want to speak with our military benefits staff first to figure out what you would be able to receive. My understanding is that as long as it's counting towards your degree requirements and you have that course substitution, you should be able to have the tuition covered by your military benefits. But typically, it does not cover the program fee or any other of the travel expenses. And then I do want to mention that we have a study abroad scholarship, and that is an option on the application itself. So when you go to apply for this program, you'll see that one of the questions will ask if you want to be considered for the scholarship. And you would, if you want to, you would select yes, and you would need to submit an essay. And there's prompts there for what you need to write the essay about. And that is due by February 1st for these summer one programs. So the most important thing to remember is that you need to submit the application itself to be submitting the scholarship application. It's all in one. And so if you don't submit your application by February 1st, you wouldn't be considered for that scholarship as well. Any questions on this or anything I've covered so far?
I do have a quick question. I did submit my application and I did have to go through the course substitution, which got approved and everything. But what does the not available for IP mean? Or just making sure that if it's approved, I can still qualify for that financially to cover it, right? If
Are
nothing.
you, yeah, are you in the international psychology program?
I am not. I'm in the PhD for behavior analysis.
Okay, great. So IP stands for International Psychology. So it's only for students that are in that program. But yeah, that's great. If you've already done the process and they've approved the course substitution, then it will be, those credits will count towards your degree and you would be eligible for financial aid.
Great, thank you.
Yep. And
Is
that
there
scholarship I
somewhere
mentioned, oh,
to,
sorry, continue.
I think you're about to say it, so if you go ahead. It was about the scholarship.
Well, I was just going to say that the scholarship itself is since it's a merit scholarship, that one you don't need to be eligible for need-based aid. Everyone's eligible if they submit the essay, they'll be reviewed by the committee.
Okay, so my question was, is there a specified scholarship for this, or like to your point, it's just an overarching scholarship?
The scholarship is for all of our study abroad programs. It's based on
Okay,
when they run. And so for all of our summer programs, any students who apply for a summer program will be eligible for one of the scholarships. We have three that we'll be able to give out for the summer, and each one is worth $3,000. So it goes a long
okay.
ways towards helping to cover like the program fee typically.
And how do you find that scholarship application?
It's on when, and I'll share this link too in a little bit,
Okay,
it's
sorry.
but that's fine. But it's part of the application itself for the program.
Okay, okay,
You'll
okay,
also submit the essay and apply for the scholarship at the same time.
okay. Thank you.
I have
Yeah,
one extra question.
yeah,
I do know that I'm covered for until the end of my spring term, or so how would it work for my since it'll be in summer? Would that be something the financial aid would help me with, like just making sure we apply for the financial aid for the summer part,
yep.
right? Yeah. I hope that
Yep.
makes
So
sense.
you'll want to work with financial aid, and we send them the information on how much each of these programs cost so they know once a student's registered for a study abroad course, they have that basic information. But you'll want to check in with them to make sure, depending on how much you have available for the summer and what it would cover.
Thank you. And do you know the term, like the deadline to apply for summer eight, I would say, right? Because I know right now we're covered until the end of spring, but I know summer might have like a whole new application for financial aid to cover summer and on. I would say,
I
yeah.
don't know what the date is for financial aid, but if you reach out to the financial aid office, they'll be able to
Gotcha.
tell you that. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, if that's it for now. These are all great questions. It's always good to ask because I'm sure others are wondering the same things too. So glad that we covered that. So yeah, a little bit more about the application process itself. So for all of our programs, because of all of the planning that goes into the travel portion itself and having to confirm with the vendor we're working with, we do it all a term ahead of time. And so that's why we do have that earlier deadline I mentioned that you would need to apply by February 27th. The scholarship, you would need to apply by February 1st if you want to be eligible for that. And then we're able to determine early in spring too if our summer one programs will run. So because of that, the final date that you can add or drop a study abroad course is March 8th. And so after March 8th, as long as we have at least 12 students enrolled in this course, then we'll know that we have enough students to run the course and we'll confirm it with everyone. And at that point, we start paying for like booking hotels and the different things that we have to have set for the travel in July. So that's why we do run it on these earlier deadlines. So basically, what you do, and once I'm done with my part, I'll put some links in the chat to this too, is you would apply online. We have a global portal where you find the application information and you can apply. And I always recommend starting that course substitution process early, but you can go ahead and submit your application before you've done that, and then you can start that conversation with your department. And then what happens once you've applied is that our department makes sure that you meet all the eligibility requirements. So that includes that you're an active and degree seeking student when you apply, and that you will be in summer one when this course runs. We are making sure for graduate students that your cumulative GPA is 3.0 or higher, that you don't have any holds on your account. So sometimes students do apply and have a financial hold on their account. If that happens, we'll reach out to you and let you know that we can't continue with your application until you resolve the hold. So if you do have a financial hold and can resolve it, then we could continue the application with the process. And then you also can't have a pending student and community standards hearing, which is the student conduct process. So once we've gone through this, made sure that you're eligible, then we're going to share your contact information with Dr. Rico and Dr. Williams, and then they will reach out to you to schedule an interview. So that's the next part of the process where they will interview you, let us know if you're accepted to the course, and then we will notify you of that. And so then it's up to you. We'll give you the instructions on this when we email you, but you will need to decide if you do want to enroll in the course. And if you decide you want to enroll, then we'll do the registration process. So because there's this additional application eligibility interview process, we do all of the registration for study abroad courses through our office. So we would add you to the course once you confirm that you want to do that. And if you later decide that you need to drop the course, you would need to notify us of that, and we'll do that process as well. Any questions about the application itself? And like I said, I'll share a link in the chat when I'm done with this section as well. So just a little more about what the cost of the program is. So you would be paying 3 credits of tuition at your degree level. So meaning that students who are at the doctoral level, you'd be paying for a doctoral course and receiving credit for a doctoral course. Students at the master's level would pay at the master's level tuition. And then you would pay the program fee, which for this course is just over $4,000. And this shows you here the basics of what's covered. And I know Dr. Rico will speak a bit more to this as well, but it will cover like your hotel, any type of activities, the cost of the activities, the tour guide, some local transportation, some meals. But that program fee will be charged to your student account in the same way that tuition is for the course. So it would show up as part of your overall balance that's due for summer one, and you would pay it in the same way that you would be paying for your tuition. So just knowing that that charge will actually show up on your student account. And then the other costs that will not show up on your student account would be airfare, that once we've confirmed that the program is running and have an orientation, you would go ahead and book your airfare from your home city to fly. And Dr. Rico would be letting you know the specifics of what airport to fly into or what time of day to arrive, things like that. And then also, if you need a passport, if you need to get a visa, there's not currently a visa required for Italy, but if you did, if you need any immunizations or vaccinations, those types of things, those would be some of the other extra costs to keep in mind. And as I mentioned before, that program fee that's going to be charged to your account, that's not refundable after March 8th, because after March 8th is when we know that the course is running and we have to start paying the vendor in Italy for these different costs. And then just a bit more about financial aid. The standard rules for financial aid apply. And as I mentioned, it does affect your total loan limit. And if you're eligible for financial aid, it can help graduate students pay for the tuition for the course up to 100% of that program fee. It can help cover your airfare as well and some of the extra costs that you would have for travel. Any other questions about cost and financial aid? Okay. So another thing that is included with the program fee is supplemental insurance, which is meant to be in addition to your standard health insurance. This would cover things like emergencies that come up while traveling, injuries, as well as evacuation if for some reason you needed to be evacuated from Italy. And the way it works is if you did need to go to the hospital or a clinic while you're there, you would pay out of pocket, and then there's forms to be reimbursed by this supplemental insurance. And that's something that our office can assist with. And we always send information to students who are traveling about kind of like a digital insurance card and information on that. And if you did want to travel for any additional days before and after the program, this would cover you for up to 7 days before the program starts and 7 days after. In Italy. So if you did want to travel to other countries in Europe, it would not cover you there, but it will cover you during that time in Italy. If any of you do currently receive any type of accommodations from the ADA, or the Office of Accessibility, I should say, ADA related accommodations, or if you might need accommodations due to travel and the activities you're taking part in, it's important to reach out to the Office of Accessibility early on in the process. And so if you might need any kind of special equipment while traveling, it's a good idea to check on things like medication and prescriptions to see if they're legal in Italy, if you can bring them in with you. If, for instance, we've had students who've had medication that needs to be refrigerated, and so we'd want to make sure with our vendor ahead of time that we could get a fridge in the hotel room for you. Or if you might have a condition where it takes you longer to walk somewhere and there's a walking tour that's part of the program, things like that, that it really helps ahead of time for the faculty, our office, and the vendor to figure out what you need and what we can do to assist you with that while traveling. So before we even approve any of our study abroad programs, we always do a risk assessment, make sure it's a safe place for you to travel to. But we also continue to keep an eye on that up until you actually leave to make sure that there's not any reason that would no longer be safe for you all to go there. So that's one thing that we keep in mind. And then also one thing we'll go over in the program orientation ahead of travel is that you need to be passing the course in order to go, and anything else that's specific to the program, like specific assignments you might need to complete before traveling. We have a lot of information on the website. I'll be sharing these slides after, but I'll also put some of these links in the chat as well for you to access our website and the application and the program brochure. And then this is a photo which Dr. Rico might use as well, but one that I really like from the program that just traveled there this past summer. Does anyone have any questions for me before the faculty get started?
For the financial aid, do we need to have approval, like confirmation that we are approved, we're enrolled in that class prior to signing up for financial aid, or is that something we can kind of just do in the process of waiting to get fully like enrolled in the class?
Right. I mean, it happens both ways because some students apply early enough, well, they'll be registered for the course and be able to have that conversation with financial aid. But we've also had students that get registered later in the process that apply later, and are closer to like that deadline that they're getting doing that, and then they're discussing with financial aid. But I recommend for anyone if financial aid is going to be kind of make it or break it, whether or not you can afford to go on the program to definitely apply early, do the process early, which it sounds like you've already done the course substitution, which is great. So as long as you apply, get registered, and then you can make sure with financial aid that everything's set before that March 8th deadline.
Awesome, thank you. And then the other question I wrote down was for if I read correctly, the only thing we have to pay is just the airplane, right? Like the travel, the airfare one.
In
Um,
addition to the program fee, you mean?
yeah.
So it'd be airfare and like the meals that aren't covered, and then any money you might want for, right, like souvenirs or things
Okay.
like that. And if you need like to renew your passport, if you need immunizations, those are the extra things to think about.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Are we gonna, I know, so sorry. Say these questions, but let's say we're approved by Rico. Are we gonna meet like in the group, or does everybody travel individually and just meet in Italy? Is that maybe so Dr. Rico will explain further on that? I don't know. Yeah.
Yep. And so basically, like often during the orientation, we'll talk about how if any of you are flying from the same city, it's great if you want to travel together. Everyone's booking their own plane tickets, but you could coordinate, fly together. But often we have students that are coming from cities all over the US. Since it is an online course, they can be coming from anywhere or even from other countries. But yeah, it often works to have some students travel together if flying from the same city.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Of course. Great. Then I will pass it on to you, Dr. Rico and Dr. Williams, and I'll stop my share.
Thank you, Bridget. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to see those of you on the call, and I'm so happy also to hear all the wonderful questions that you have so far. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I want to spend probably about 20 minutes with you looking at time, maybe 20, 25 minutes sharing a little bit more about the program. And then I'm happy to answer questions at the end. Feel free to add your questions in the chat or save them till the end, but I hope I address most of your questions in our presentation today. So this specific class, so a little bit about me. My name's Dr. Rico. I'm the department chair for the business psychology program at the Chicago campus. My background is in actually curiosity, creativity, entrepreneurship, and working with investors. So I actually do a lot of work internationally in Italy, and I'll share a little bit more about that as well in the presentation today. And I'm going to toss it very quickly to Dr. Williams to introduce herself as well.
Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Parker Williams. I am faculty in the Business Psychology Department on the Chicago campus and have run and co-led quite a few study abroad programs since I've been here, to China, to Peru, to the Netherlands, and then most recently with Dr. Rico to Italy. My specialty, I do quite a bit in terms of change leadership. And I know when we have done study abroad trips before, we have looked at the differences in how leadership is implemented across countries. So you can look forward to understanding IO psychology or org leadership from a global perspective.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. So this particular class, we focus on the psychology of creativity and really diving into understanding behavior, ourselves as creative leaders, how to lead teams, how to enhance the creativity of our teams, as well as organizations. So our focus is Milan and Florence, and we'll dive into what that will include. So today, this is our agenda for today. So I want to share a little bit more about why you should even care about this topic, no matter what program you're in, why Italy was chosen. We'll go through the course, the topics, the assignments, and then we'll jump into the draft itinerary, so what to expect in your immersion in Italy, who we're going to visit, who we're going to talk with. Just brief reminder about the fees that Bridget has already gone over with you, and then just a reminder about some of the deadlines. And again, I'll leave time for questions here at the end as well. So again, you'll have a slide to remember us and a little bit more about us. So first, why should you even care about this topic in this class? Well, research and reports from the World Economic Forum have shared that continuously the core skills that are being looked at include creative thinking and curiosity. So this is the latest skills, the top 7. Here is what I'm sharing, skill sets that are being sought after by organizations globally for 2030. No surprise that AI is the top skill set. Creative thinking and basically problem solving. So no matter what field you're in, the important thing is to learn how to problem solve and to be creative. We constantly hear that from companies and employers too that are recruiting our students. I highlighted these 2 in orange because the core of the class dives into creative thinking, creative research. Curiosity, research tells us, is the fuel for creative thinking and creative behavior. But the course actually touches base on all of these. We do have a week that will talk about AI and creativity, and then I'll share a little bit more about opportunities for you to enhance your technical literacy when it comes to creative technology. So first, the class itself helps you master this creativity and your own leadership skills. So again, you'll learn more about neuroscience research from Harvard and understanding yourself as a creative person, how to enhance the creativity of your team, no matter what sector or industry you're working in, and then how do you build a culture of innovation. Again, a key part of this class is the study abroad. And so really understanding global innovation, what is happening globally. I'll share a little bit more here in a moment why we selected Italy itself. I'll go ahead and share a little bit. So Italy was selected because Italy actually has the top design universities in the world. It also has the largest percentage of luxury designers are located in Italy. And so it's a great fit for understanding what creative behavior actually feels like when you're in Italy and you meet these businesses and you learn more about the culture. You can literally feel the creativity in the air. You can see it. You wake up breathing it. Everything is slower. It's more calm. It's more intentional when it comes to creative process. There's a lot more history. Italy's a lot older than the United States. So it's a perfect fit for understanding the application of the theories and actually seeing the love and the passion and the creativity and inspiration that is there in the country. You're also able to build your business network. So when we talk a little bit more about who we're meeting with, you're able to start building your global contacts and understanding and hopefully feeling inspired by the artists you're learning about, the cultural experiences and the leaders you get to meet with. And then finally, I think what's most important is it doesn't matter how many of these theories and research you're learning about, but what's most important is how to apply it and what it looks like in action. What are the current problems that companies and leaders and teams are experiencing? It also enables you to learn more about these real world problems, but also to learn more about yourself and maybe what makes your heart skip a beat as far as what your passion is and where you would like to align your future academic and professional life. So the course timeline. So there's 3 different phases when it comes to this class. So first, we do have an online class that I'll go through the content here in a moment, but we're together online from May 4th to June 22nd. So it's 7 weeks. It's a 7-week online class. Then in July, we travel to Italy, Milan and Florence. The reason why we are visiting 2 cities is briefly because Milan is like the New York City of Italy. So every major business, really the core business work is done in Milan. Milan is also in the region that has the highest GDP for the country. So anything related to business, it's really important that we experience Milan. And then we travel to Florence by train, by a speed train, because Florence is also very, very rich in history, in culture, and it's a complete different feeling that I was so happy that our first cohort of students was able to experience. So it's very important for the lessons of creativity to experience both cities from a business perspective. And then the third phase of the course is the two final deliverables for the class that I'll review a little bit more here later, which is a final reflection presentation and an immersion visual diary. And students have about 10 days after you come back and relax, and you get to kind of think about and take some time to really resonate about what you learned to complete those assignments. So the course itself, so what does the course look like? So the first week of the course, we start with understanding, what does leading with creativity mean? Why should I care about creativity as a leader? What does it look like? You're starting to be introduced to the neuroscience of creativity and what research tells us about creative behavior. Then in week 2, we're introduced to what is called creative brain sets. So this is research out of Harvard, specifically in neuroscience, and students take a brain set assessment. So you actually take 2 assessments this week. One is a brain set, so you learn more about your individual capabilities as far as what neuroscience is telling us about creative behavior. And then you also take an emotional intelligence assessment, because we also learn the strong connection between emotional intelligence and empathy and the impact it has on creativity. So then we build off of that self-awareness piece, and then we start in week 3 diving into all the creative theories and models. So what are the creative theories and models that research tells us about? We will also dive into design thinking. And design thinking is a very human-centered approach to creativity. So the other important thing in the AI world that we live in is that problem solving is more than just finding the right answer. Problem solving is understanding that creative problem solving is understanding divergent and convergent thinking. It's understanding the human component of creativity, and that's what we dive into in week 3. Week 4, we start learning about the culture of innovation. So what does the culture of an organization and innovation look like? So we'll learn more about those structures, some case studies, some examples. We'll dive into conversations about what that looks like. And then in week 5, the course was first offered last summer. So let me give you a little framework. The course has been updated, this offering for this summer, based off of feedback and reactions and changes within the creative industry. So this is the first time that week 5, we will specifically talk about AI and creativity. So we'll talk about new mental models within AI. To be introduced. So the collaboration of AI, and also questioning how to use our critical thinking, how to think about what am I missing when I use AI? Should I be using AI in certain circumstances? So you'll learn about different tools, and you'll learn about research coming out of MIT and other universities that's telling us about the impact of AI and creative behavior. Then the last 2 weeks of the course, we dive into Italy. So we will have time and intentionally take time as a class to get you prepared for the immersion in Italy. So the first week, you're introduced to Italy as a country. Assignments and discussions are specifically there to support you to understand the business landscape, the different sectors, the GDP, the politics, just to get a general introduction of the culture that you will be entering and experiencing. Then the final week, students will be paired, and the assignments this week are intentionally created to help you prepare for our partner meetings. So every student will be assigned a partner. You'll research that partner and help your peers prepare for those conversations, so we can go into those meetings and conversations respectful and prepared for our dialogue and conversations. We'll learn more about the social landscape. And then in week 7, Dr. Williams and I will also hold a mandatory Zoom session like this to prepare you for the immersion. So it'll be a 60-minute Zoom session. It'll be recorded, but it'll go through all the agenda, everything to expect in our immersion. By then, there might be some updates, more than likely to the agenda, but we'll go through a preparation for everyone in week 7. You're not expected to speak Italian by any means, but I'm going to also share with everyone just some key phrases that you're welcome to learn as you enter in Italy if this is your first time in Italy. So very briefly, what to expect before our trip, some course assignments. So the assignments include readings, the 2 assessments I shared with you that students will take. We have discussion boards every week. There'll be several papers, and you're going to engage in what research tells us is critical reflection. You'll learn more about this in the class, but critical reflection is tied to your creative behavior. So this is a type of reflection that you need to slow down to do. So you're introduced to this chatbot, this little image here of this box. His name is Riff. Riff is an AI bot out of Stanford that we use in this class. So you'll engage in an AI tool to introduce to you how you could use AI in your own teamwork and organizational work. But it's a tool we use in class to help you with your critical reflection that you can complete on your cell phone at the end of each week. And then we also build your creative skills by using another book called Wreck This Journal. We go through different activities to help you loosen up your creative muscles, to help you understanding the creative behavior that we're looking to build within you and your team and organizations. In most of the weeks of class, I'm also going to offer optional Zoom meetings. So that way I can introduce you to other tools that you could use and enhance your creativity. So I'll share those with the class. During the trip, we'll have meetings and meeting with businesses, which will be the next slide. I'll share with you about who we're meeting with. And then after the trip again, you'll have the 2 assignments to submit. So I wanted to share you a couple of examples of what the visual diary is. So instead of writing a written journal of reflection for this class, you're introduced to an assignment, which is a visual diary. You are expected to, or encouraged to complete this every day or have some time during our immersion. But a visual diary enables both your left and right brain to slow down and just embrace whatever creative medium that you want to embrace for this assignment. So this is an example of a visual diary every day. This is actually my visual diary that I have when I travel. These are watercolors. You can also take pictures and images. You can use watercolors, but this is an example of what did I learn that one day, or what really resonated with me, and what does it look like visually? These last 2 examples are actually examples from our last course. So we had one student to the left that really missed sketching. He used to sketch all the time when he was younger. So he purchased a sketch set in Italy, and this is part of his reflection journal was sketching. And then this other image here, the presentation slide, this is the reflection presentation for class. Ask students to take that visual images and use it in your reflection presentation. So this is an example of a student using her images from her cell phone that she took as a way to visually illustrate her reflection for every day of the immersion. So probably what you're most excited to learn more about is who we're going to meet with. So the immersion starts on the 12th of July. So we will leave, or you should leave the 12th of July, because then you arrive on the 13th. When you leave here in the United States, you'll arrive in Italy the next day. As Bridget shared, we'll share more information with students about all of this itinerary example, but we encourage students to arrive anytime in the morning, afternoon, but we will meet together at the hotel for a late afternoon orientation before dinner. We'll have a welcome dinner together as a group, and the cost for this dinner is included in the fee of the course. So we will have a welcome dinner together in Milan. And then the next day, we will start off with a cultural tour of Milan, and we'll visit the Duomo. So to really understand Italy, you need to understand religion, family, and food. So we will visit the Duomo, and you'll learn more about that particular church and the architecture. You're able to visit the image that Bridget shared, the final image in her slide, that's the Milan Duomo. So it's one of the largest churches in the world. And so you'll learn more about the history, and we're able to climb the top of the roof. So you can also learn more about the roof and the architecture and see the view from Milan. After that, after each of these visits, we'll have lunch and then we'll come back together. We will be meeting with PwC next. PwC is a top global consulting company. So we'll be meeting actually with one of their senior partners, more about creativity. And then students can ask, I highly encourage you, and I will ask each of our companies to share more about their use of AI, so we can dive into a really thought-provoking dialogue about the use of AI as far as what that looks like in consulting for them. And you will have the evening free. So students have the evening free, and our days usually end probably about 4:30 at the latest 5. So you have the rest of the evening free to explore Milan. The next day, we'll visit with Bocconi University. So Bocconi University is the top university actually in Italy. So we will visit the campus. We will meet with business faculty and students and learn more about their programs and their research. And then we'll break for lunch, and then we will meet with an architect or design company. So the specific company is yet to be determined, but we're going to learn more about the creative nature of that sector, their use of AI, et cetera, in Milan. Thursday, was a really great experience last summer where we will visit Microsoft in Milan. We'll meet with the head of their advertising department and we'll get a tour. We'll learn more about the differences between communication styles within US versus the United States. And we'll also learn more about AI application from him and his team. And then you'll have the rest of the day free to explore Milan and the cultural experience. The next day on Friday, we will all take a train together. We'll travel to the train station together and we'll head to Florence. When we arrive in Florence, this part of the agenda might change a little bit depending on our partners and when they can visit us, but we will start off with a guided tour of Florence, including a food tour. So you'll learn more about food here and aperitivo. So aperitivo is a specific style of food, which is small servings. So we'll learn more about that that evening. Saturday, you have the entire day free to explore. I will share with you some recommendations to explore. Part of the course fee for this program includes a ticketed package for you during your free days. So you'll actually have a pass to explore the Florence Church, the Florence Duomo, their museum, and also climb the top of a tower, which I'll show you here in a moment. So you'll have lots of opportunities to explore. Sunday, we're going to have a Medicini family tour. The Medicini family is one of the most wealthiest and most impactful families for Florence in general. So we'll learn more about them and their chapels that they helped fund. So that's a really exciting tour that we'll learn more about that cultural aspect. Monday is our final day in Florence, and we will start the day with the tour of Ferragamo and learning more about creativity, and we'll be visiting their production site, which is right outside of Florence. So we met with the grandson of Salvador Ferragamo last summer, and learned more about the company and had a Q&A with him. So I'm hoping we get to meet with him again. But you'll learn more about luxury design and that creative lens. And then we'll close with our Fellware dinner. Now, this Monday, 1 or 2 days in Florence will change depending also on the Florence mayor. So we'll also meet with the Florence mayor's department and her deputy mayor and learn more about their innovation work and their innovation hub in Florence. And we'll also learn about their AI work. Their deputy mayor is in charge of integrating AI throughout all of Florence. So we'll learn more about that from the mayor's office. And then finally, Tuesday, we depart. You'll have breakfast available for you every morning at the hotel, and you could depart home. And that could be from anywhere. You can fly out of Florence, you can go back to Milan, wherever you'd like to depart from. And again, we'll share more information about that with the class. A couple more slides here, about 5 more minutes, and then I'll open it up to questions here. But this is just a brief overview again of the businesses and academic visits we have. This upper image here is actually with the deputy mayor, Laura Sparavigna. She's in the middle here. She's in charge of the Innovation Hub and all of the AI education for the city of Florence. That visit was actually voted number one, the number one visit out of the whole experience from our students. Next rated was Microsoft and Ferragamo production site. So this image here is the Bocconi University, is actually also well known for their architecture. So we'll learn more about the architecture of their buildings. And then, of course, PwC is the newest addition to our agenda, and they are right outside of Milan. So we'll be visiting them as well. As far as the cultural visits, every city will have a guided tour. So we'll learn more about the history of each city. We'll have a food tour. This image here up to the upper left is our students in Florence, in front of a very famous bridge in Florence, as they were walking around. The ticket that you have as part of your free time allows you to go up this tower right here in this bottom image of the Duomo. This is the Duomo you'll be able to visit as well in your free time if you choose. The second image on top is our students actually climbing that tower. So this is them taking a rest in the tower. And this is their view from that tower when they got to the top. Bridget's already gone over this, but this slide just is a reminder about the fees. So the fee is for the 3-credit course, the tuition. If you're a doctoral student, it's at that tuition level. If you're a master's student, it's at that tuition level. The study abroad fee, again, the fee includes your hotel. It includes all the fees to get access to where we're going. It includes the train ticket. It includes 2 group meals. So the meals for the welcome dinner and the farewell dinner are included, as well as the food tour. So that food tour is actually enough food for your dinner. That's how much food we'll be tasting throughout the tour. So you get about 3 meals paid for there. And any on-ground transportation, so includes our bus and trams that we'll be taking to get us to our meetings. Airfare is also a fee that would be included that Bridget spoke to, and right now it's about $1,900 roughly, and that's only from Chicago to Milan. So the estimate's usually around there, depending on where you are in the United States. And finally, these are just reminders of, again, of deadlines that Bridget has already shared with you. So February 27th is the application deadline. We have already started interviewing. So I highly encourage anyone that's considering applying to apply right away. The enrollment is only 12 to 16 students, and that does include students from any program. Because it's a business psychology course, we do place priority on business psychology students. But again, it's open to any student because it's very applicable to students in any program. And we have already begun the interview process. You're more than welcome to email me with any questions at all directly. And thank you for your time and for listening to me. This image here is a picture of us at Bocconi University when we got our tour and learned more about their university. So grazie mille, and I open it up to any questions that anyone might have.
I have a question, sorry. What is the chances? Have you guys ever had a time where you guys did not meet the 12 or the trip had to be canceled and things like that?
This is the second time this particular course is being offered. So I could say it definitely went the first time. We had more than enough students to have the course run. I don't know if Bridget could speak to if that normally happens. I don't know how normally it happens.
It can vary quite a bit. It depends a lot on the specific course. So it's hard. I wouldn't want you to base this one on what's happened with other courses, where some of them haven't. We have had to cancel other courses because not enough students have enrolled. But like Dr. Rico said, this one had more than enough to run this last summer. And I think there's been a good amount of interest in it again for the coming summer.
Thank you. I'm very interested in it. So as you can see, I already submitted my application. So is there any tips you can provide to prepare for the interview? I am coming from a different course, so I'm not really interested in this trip. So I just want to make sure I prepare the best I can for the interview, for all that stuff. Yeah.
That's a great question. So the great thing I think about this course, and I think why we had so many applicants last year and interest in it, Lizette, is because the topic itself is applicable across whatever industry that you're in, because we focus on that creative aspect. And no matter what sector, industry, or program you're in, you need to understand creative behavior and how to build that within others. in any organization globally. And I think there's a lot of connection to, and people are very, no matter what sector, they're very curious about Italy and what's happening, I think. And when you're there, I think the students really realize the applicability it had across any industry, any field. So that's my first thought. And then as far as the interview is 30 minutes. It's really focuses on understanding why a student selected this particular class, what value does a student think that it would have on your academic career and your professional career? And because the immersion and the cultural exposure is part of it, just understanding a little bit more about a student's experience in different cultures. And that could be anything, right? That could be a culture experience in another city or an organization. It doesn't necessarily have to be global. And then how to problem solve, right? Because Bridget talked about when we travel abroad, anything could happen. So during the interview, we're curious to know too how students adapt, because a heart of life in general and creativity and traveling is adapting. Things change all the time. So for example, I'll say this and then I'll end. So for example, when we travel abroad, anything could change in our agenda. So for example, the deputy mayor confirmed with us in Florence that she was able to meet with us 2 days before we traveled to Florence. So because she invited us 2 days before, we had to quickly adjust our agenda in order to see her. And that ended up being, and all the students were very flexible in that adjustment. And as soon as we got off the train, we had to go see her. And the students end up voting it the top experience of the whole program. And so it's understanding an individual's adaptability, which is really crucial for a success in this course. And then also to realize that each student represents the Chicago School. So this is the second time that these companies are interacting with us. And with some, it's the first. So it's also, we take into consideration that whoever's selected is also representing the Chicago School when we travel abroad and meet with our partners.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful. I'm excited. So I'll be looking forward for the interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Anything that you're curious about?
Well, if
Okay.
there's not any other right now, like Dr. Rico said, you can reach out to her with questions about the course specifically. If you do have questions about other things related to registration, the application process, go ahead and reach out to my office. I did include our email in the chat, that studyabroad at the chicagoschool.edu. And then there's also the links to the brochure we call it a program brochure for this course, as well as the application itself online. But yeah, please reach out to us if you have any other questions. And we hope if you haven't yet that you go ahead and submit your application so you can start moving through the process.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you all.
you.
Good day.